Hello, dear listener. If you want to read the story, you can do it on the Boosty website. Also, subscribe to our Telegram channel. Broken back leg and was leaning, so she tossed her books and papers on the plush violet rug beneath her feet. Aside from a sink, fridge, a hot plate, and her roommate's bed, there wasn't much else in her box of a room. The pleasures of college dorm life. After the microwave's ding, she pulled the plate from within and dropped it on the countertop next to a pair of glasses of water. Around that time, the knocks at the door had Claire's heart leaping into her throat. Oh, my God. She really came. Okay, act calm. Everything is normal. Phew. She said as she took steps towards the knocking. She grasped the knob and opened the door. There was Miss Patton with her face-length grin and pearly whites gleaming at Claire. The top buttons of her dress had found their way loose and her curves of her breasts were peeking out. Her outfit was snug to her hips with a pair of legs that were big but not flabby. Muscular like an athlete's, though she'd rarely seen a gym from the inside. Thick was the word. Her gift since birth. Claire felt wildly underdressed with her hair pulled into a ponytail while wearing her gray school shirt and cotton gym shorts. Good evening, Claire. Miss Patton said as though she didn't want to be anywhere else in the world. Claire cleared her throat and tucked some stray strands of red hair behind her ear. Hello, Miss Patton. Would you like to come inside? I would, unless you want me to tutor you out here in the hallway. Oh, right. Of course. That was silly of me. Claire left the doorway and trotted to the counter to grab an empty glass from it. She flung open the fridge, filled it with water, and rushed it to her teacher. Miss Patton slipped her black shoulder bag off and held it while she looked around for a place to set it. Where are we studying, sweetie? She asked. Claire braked in front of Miss Patton and a splash of liquid leapt from the glass and onto her dress. Sorry to interrupt the story. But I wanted to say that I would be happy to have any support from your side. Please like and subscribe to the channel. And you can also donate. Claire filled with embarrassment as she covered her mouth. I'm so sorry, Miss Patton. The teacher dropped her bag by her feet. It's not a problem, honey. Really, are you sure? Claire asked with her blood rushing and skin flushed. Really, Miss Patton said as she took the glass and sipped from it. She shifted her eyes behind her student. Are you expecting company? Claire spun and was reminded of the water glasses she'd already poured. Oh, no. I don't think I have it together tonight. The reddening of her cheeks accompanied nervous giggles. She couldn't believe she'd become like this. Miss Patton held Claire's shoulders and gazed into her jade irises. It's okay. I'm a normal girl. The paparazzi isn't following me around taking pictures and no one is lining up to get my autograph. I'm just regular old Natasha Patton. Today, I was looking for my cell phone only to realize I was talking on it. I'm not without my quirks. Claire's trembles settled into calmness, although she was about to explode with desire for her professor. But, you're beautiful, as are you, Claire. But are we here to flirt or learn chemistry? Claire froze and sifted through the right words to say. She was looking at Miss Patton to see if she meant something by that. Her lips didn't move. The answer to that could have been both, but she figured she should probably learn about the chemistry in the textbook. Maybe we should study, she said with a pool of lubricant drenching her panties. Okay. Miss Patton said, almost like there was a hint of disappointment in her voice. Where? Claire kneeled to the rug. Here. My desk had an accident. I sat on it. That's fine, love, Miss Patton said while kicking off her heels. I don't mind the rug. Reminds me of my college days. Oh, this rug feels softer than kitty fur. She stretched out and Claire joined her. She said I was beautiful. Wow. Claire thought to herself. A couple of hours later, papers and books covered the floor. The rug and the hardwood beneath it had disappeared. The women began the night with space between them, but as the night grew older, they were elbow to elbow and could feel each other's warmth. Claire never believed she could have the time of her life learning chemistry. Miss Patton brushed Claire's hand and she gasped. So, Claire, what is the periodic table symbol for gold? Miss Patton asked with rasp. She angled towards the young student while looking at her with a bedtime squint. Claire could feel the energy between them and now, she wanted to be with her, somehow. She felt so naughty and bad, but her tummy tied into knots at the idea of making a move. If Miss Patton didn't, she was sure to lose her sanity. Claire was turned on but fighting the Sandmen at the same time. When she spoke, her voice changed into a raspy, nighttime one. She said, symbol for gold, it's O. There isn't an A or a U in gold. Who had the bright idea to do that? Miss Patton stroked her own black locks and eased further into Claire's space. It comes from the Latin word for gold, aurum. Oh, an enduring silence filled the space left by the end of their conversation, and Claire awaited what was to happen next. She couldn't look at Miss Patton for fear she'd read her and reject her on the spot. Miss Patton said, well, it's getting kind of late and I have a long drive home. Claire was so tense she was about to scream. Wait. I mean, is that all you have to teach me? Miss Patton rolled onto her back and sat up. She fought to push her dress down as it rode up towards her waist, but she eventually gave up. We went over everything that will be on the exam. Claire's eyes dropped as she was trying to sneak a peek at what was hiding under her dress. Oh, yeah. I'm still nervous about the test. Claire's hands were damp and couldn't stop fidgeting with her clothes. She was hoping she would teach her about more intimate things. Miss Patton poured sincerity into her eyes. You're a bright student with an amazing future. I spoke to your other instructors. They adore you because you're always the smartest in the class. You just need to use the same confidence you have in their classes in mine. Do that, remember what we studied tonight, and you'll pass, okay? Claire said, and Miss Patton started to get up. No, wait a minute, she paused her movement and asked, what is it? The night's not getting younger. Claire sat up on her but with her legs stretched out in front of her. I mean to say you're beautiful. Claire stammered as she buried her face into both hands. Oh, I already said that, didn't I? Forming coherent phrases became a chore. Whatever was to happen, she wanted it over. Miss Patton caressed her arm and its hairs shocked to attention. You did tell me that, but I don't mind hearing it twice. Thank you. You're so sweet. She was about to shatter into pieces as she couldn't let her leave without letting her know what she wanted. She didn't know if she'd think she was weird or even a freak and that things would become awkward, but it was now or never. As Miss Patton stood to leave, Claire strained to summon a drop of courage. Would you like to kiss me? She asked, but it was barely a whisper. Shivers rattled her like she was standing in a freezer. She didn't know how else to ask. She didn't think she heard her anyways. It was the best she could do, and that took all she had. She wanted to hide under the biggest boulder she could find. Miss Patton stopped and asked, did you say something? Claire repeated herself, but only a couple of notches higher. Would you like to kiss me? Miss Patton paused, but didn't appear shocked. Maybe shocked that she asked, but it was like Claire was asking her all along without saying it. Claire hid in shame behind her hands, but Miss Patton kneeled, peeled them away and held them. When Claire opened her eyes, she saw that Miss Patton was close enough that she could smell her green apple Mentos. Miss Patton said, I didn't expect that. I'm flattered, but I'm your instructor. I can't do that. You're very pretty, but, Claire interrupted. Please. I won't tell anyone. I've always found you attractive and smart. We get along so well that I had to ask. She realized she was pleading, but hoped the anxiousness bubbling inside didn't come out too much. Too late, Miss Patton's eyes shifted around as though she was at least considering it or trying to find a nice way to friend or student zone her. She sat beside Claire while still keeping hold of her hands. The way she held them with such care helped Claire to at least somewhat feel at ease. Miss Patton said, I'm sorry, but I shouldn't do this. There are plenty of girls around campus that like other girls. I know, but I was thinking maybe you could be my first. Show me how it is. I've only ever been with guys. Miss Patton smiled with a chuckle. But I never said I liked girls. What made you think I did? Because you asked me that. Oh, you are a smart one, but something before this led you to think that. Right, Claire wasn't sure if this was going where she'd hoped, but at least she was still talking to her. Claire lowered her voice and leaned towards her. I really just guessed. I thought you asked to come to my dorm because you wanted to have sex with me. Miss Patton was taken aback. Way aback. What? No. I just wanted to meet you somewhere you were most comfortable. It was a rare occurrence that Miss Patton's speech staggered and she fumbled through her words. For a flicker of a moment, she was acting like Claire. Claire leaned away buried in regret and wishing she could rewind time 2 minutes. Okay. Sorry. I shouldn't have asked. Miss Patton donned that look of surprise as if her secret had flown out of the closet. You're a bright one. My favorite student for a reason. So, why are you failing my class again? Claire shrugged. I don't know. I think I'd find the joys of watching grass grow a more interesting subject, but I know I wouldn't at least have a chance at passing if not for you helping me. Silence settled in the room again. Each tick of the clock had Claire's heart hammering harder. Claire was looking at the floor but sneaked a peek at Miss Patton. She was wrestling with something in her mind while her eyelashes fluttered. After a few excruciating seconds, she spoke with much sultriness. Well, like I said, you've been my favorite student and you are so sexy. A subtle, quiet kind of sexiness. She ran her fingers through Claire's hair. I think we could have some fun together, but don't think I can pass you just because of this. Claire perked up with her hands together. Can you count this as extra credit, maybe? We'll see how well you do. Miss Patton looked into her eyes with a stern expression. Remember, you won't tell anyone about this. I won't. I promise. Miss Patton tilted her head and smiled with puffy cheeks. Good. She slid a hand behind Claire's neck and caressed it. Claire couldn't move as she was stunned by a flood of wondrous feelings. She glanced at her instructor's pink lips and they drew near with Miss Patton's hand pulling Claire close. Claire was shaking and about to further soak her panties in love nectar. Due to YouTube restrictions, we had to post the full story on Boosty. Also subscribe to our Telegram channel.